Hello guys, here we are with George, and what he did was he won a pot of prosperity locals with playing mutants of all things. So here's his deck profile. Let's get into the profile, George. Here's the prosperity he won.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the main deck. I played triple mutant M05. Him and the next card ST46. They're the soul of the deck. They're basically your normal summons and special summons with the field spell. You always want to see these. They never break, and you want to see them as much as possible. They're psychic, so you can get them off with emergency teleport. These ones tag out into the big guys. You kind of have to minus off them to get into the big guys, but they offer some sort of negation and bonus effect. And this deck can grind, but wants to finish games quickly. So their effect is the M05. When he's summoned, he can search a mutant monster, and ST searches a spell and trap. And they both have the same effect where they have to tribute themselves and banish a card. And based off what that card was, like monster, spell, and trap, they can summon out Beast, Mist, and Arsenal, which are the next cards. So this is Arsenal, this is Beast, and this is Mist. I'm playing one of each. Arsenal is summoned by banishing a trap, Beast by a monster, and Mist by a spell. I can tell you that Mist is the least useful of them all, because you don't play a lot of spells, so he tends all of these cards are bricks. You never want to see them, but when you get them out, they kind of have an okay payoff. So Beast has his effect that he can't be targeted by monster effects, so they can't be targeted by the thing that they were used to special summon them. So Beast can't be targeted by monster effects, he can't be targeted by traps, and him by spells. So, and each of them has their unique ability, where Beast can negate a spell by banishing something on the field or from the hand. Arsenal can banish a monster on the field by banishing a card on the field. They all can banish themselves, and Mist is the least useful of them all. He responds by when your opponent activates a trap, you get to banish a card, your card, and then draw 2 cards. And also, when they're destroyed, they recycle the third thing. So, since Beast was used the monster, he can't be targeted by monster effects. He negates the spell card, so he recycles the trap, and so on and so forth. So you never want to see these in your opening hand. There is a way to play around if you draw them with the field spell, but honestly you just hope that they're in your deck and you open these. The next card, probably the best card in the deck, Dimension Shifter. This deck doesn't care about banishing. Your opponent unfortunately does. So you just play this card and you auto win most of your games with it. That's it for the monsters. Now for the spells. 1D Fisher, like I said, you don't care about banishing. In fact, you thrive off banishing, so you play Dimension Fisher. You side this off going second in your game 2, and if you're going into game 3 and you're playing first, then you side this in. 1 Call By, you would play it at 3 if you could. 1 Mutant Fusion. This card was, I mean, it's kind of strange. It's also the best and worst card. It's good for going second because it kind of acts like a pseudo Shadow Fusion in a way, but you can't dash it because it banishes cards instead of sending them to the graveyard. So normally if your opponent didn't activate a card or effect during your turn when you activate this, you would have to banish cards from your hand or field, like a Miracle Fusion, but only on the field. But if your opponent activated something, then you banish one thing from your deck and one thing from your graveyard. So sometimes it's awkward because you can't get a monster in your graveyard, but other times it's okay, and the fusion monsters are the MVP of the deck. Another one of Emergency Teleport. All of these M05 and ST, they're both level 3, so you can get them out with teleport and they get their effects, so you want this. 1 terraforming and 2 field spells. I found this the correct ratio. You always want to side out these and keep 1 field spell in for the grind game. The field spell has the effect where when it's activated, you can special summon a mutant from your hand, a level 4 or lower, and is banished, they all gain attack equal to the banished mutant cards times 100. And the way to unbrick is if you have this out and you have one of your mutant monsters, you can reveal it to your opponent and put it in the bottom of your deck and draw a card. So that's kind of a way to get rid of the bigger mutants in a way. And for the plus spell, triple Pot of Extravagance, you want to play this instead of the Pot of Prosperity. Even if I had the playset of Pot of Prosperity, I would still play this because you don't care about banishing. You only care about banishing one sort of monster and that's it, but you really need the plus with this deck because you go minus to summon off a big monster. So that's probably the best spell. You could run Imperial Order in this build, but you don't need to. You can side it out. Now for the traps, which are the MVP of the deck. Expansion. Expansion reads, when it's activated, you can either summon or add to your hand one of the smaller mutant monsters, which is really good. Or, while it's face up on their field, if a mutant monster would be destroyed by a card effect, you can remove this card from the field instead. So like a Salamangreat Balings. Now for the fusion spell, Mutant Cry. Mutant Cry reads that you can from literally anywhere shuffle mutant monsters into your deck to conduct a fusion summon, but you have to use it during the main phase, so you can't OTK with this, you have to use it preemptively. But it's really good, it's one of the best cards in the deck, honestly. Up next, Triple Infinite Impermanence, just a solid hand trap. In fact, it's a normal trap, which is important because of the next card that we have here, which is Trap Trick. I found 2 Trap Trick to be the correct ratio because Cry is also a normal spell and we have another normal spell in the deck, which is Torrential Tribute. Torrential Tribute is a really good card in this format. A lot of people don't play around it, and you don't want to have triple Trap Trick because it breaks. So going into game 2 and game 3, you always side these out. Maybe side out one Torrential, but these cards game 1 are really good if you're going first. Now for the non-normal traps, we have There Can Be Only Fun. This is such a fun card. It's such a good card, man. Like, honestly, this card just won me games. It's disgusting. I hate it, but I have to play it because this deck doesn't care. It's all different types. The small mutants are psychics, and the big ones are all different types. Machine, beast, and I don't know, what is it, worm or something. But you can play around this, and your opponent most likely cannot. So this is probably the MVP. Double Solemn Strike and 1 Macrocosmos. Macrocosmos like Diffuser. If I could, I would play more of this because it's such a good card, and Strike because it's overall a good card. That's it for the main deck.
40 in main, right?
42.
42, okay.
42 main. Now for the extra deck, we have the extra deck only needs 8 cards, so the remaining 7 can be literally anything. You could play Super Poly if you want, but these are the most important. Mutant Synthesis, the most important card in the extra deck. You fusion summon it by fusion summoning 1 small mutant and 1 big one because they have to be different attributes. When it's summoned, it pops a card on the field. When your opponent activates a certain card or effect, you can respond with this card, and then this card becomes unaffected by that card type, like monster. This card becomes unaffected by monster, and when it's destroyed, it recycles one of your banished mutant cards. So really good card. You don't want to banish this off Extravagance. I had a game where I banished all 3, and you're losing that game unless you're OTKing. One of the less likely things that you'll be summoning, which is Mutant Ultimus. He has a really strict summoning condition where you have to summon him by tributing 3 high-level mutant monsters. You can tribute this, but it's really not worth it to give up your high mutant monsters if they're on the field. But if they're in the graveyard, then you can summon this thing. I didn't summon this thing all locals long. I was always banishing it with Extravagance, but it's like a pseudo Mechaba on crack. Like, it's really strong if you bring it out, and you're winning the game if you bring it out. Now for the links, the most important link, and probably one of the 2 most important links, Almirage. Almirage is only here because you want, if your small mutant gets Veilered or Impermanence, then you kind of need a way for it to get into a graveyard if you have Mutant Fusion in your hand. So Almirage is a way for you to do so. And Cross Sheep, also if you get Veilered or Impermanent, you can summon one of your Mutant Fusion monsters by Mutant Cry, and then you can plus more by using this card and the small mutant monsters by fusion summoning under the thing that it points to. And the rest of the extra deck is kind of a placeholder. I never went into any of these, so this can be literally anything. You can play Super Poly and targets if you want, so I went with this IP, Cerberus, Phoenix, Unicorn, Trisbane, Ceroboros, and the Goddess. Like, these literally can be anything. And now for the side deck. The side deck was really good. I didn't have a game where I didn't... No, actually, I had one game where I didn't side one card, but... Well, let's get into it. I hate back row, so I'm playing one Harpy's Feather Duster, one Twin Twister, and double Cosmic Cyclone. The reason why there's one Twin Twister and double Cosmic is because I don't own a third Cosmic Cyclone, so I went with Twin Twister. I was expecting a Sky Striker player to be there, so that's why I played this instead of Twin Twister, but oh well. Triple Evenly Matched, another thing that you can activate with Trap Trick. It's good against back row decks, and it helps you win games. Triple Nibiru if you're going second. Really good card, really fair. Now the card that I didn't have a chance to play this locals, it was Dark Ruler. I was expecting Dragon Link because we were playing under the old ban list, but it never came up, so this was kind of a waste, but if I had, I would side this in. And the last card, which was Zombie World. Zombie World doesn't hurt your deck, but it hurts your opponent. If you're playing against the Cybers dot deck, they can't play when you have this on the field, so it's kind of an auto win against certain decks or Earth Machines. So yeah, that's it for the side. Closing thoughts. I want to give a shout out to my friend Miloš for letting me borrow his Spot of Extravagance. Thank you so much, they really served me well. And shout out to the niche local community as well for organizing a good tournament.
Alright, but just for the record, like, what were your matchups like for people to like...
So round one I was playing against Mathmech. I lost the die roll and I managed to win 2-1 against him. He won game 1, but I managed to beat him game 2 and game 3 with the side deck. Round 2 I was against Trap Trick. I won the die roll, which was really important. If I had lost, I don't think I would have won. Because going first against that deck is really important. When they set up a board with all their traps and you don't have spell and trap removal in your main deck, you're really at a disadvantageous position, so you kinda can't play. I won that game in time, unfortunately. I wanted to play it out, but we play with the time rules, so we had to be legit. And round 3 I was against Invoked Shaddoll, and it was 2-0 or 2-1, I don't know.
It was 2-0.
It was 2-0. Yeah, my opponent didn't know how to play against this deck, so I took
Pretty much.
advantage of that. So yeah, and the finals was against the same Mathmech player. He won the die roll again, but I managed to beat him 2-0 with the Floodgates and Dimension Shifter. So yeah.
Alright, so that's it. There you go. Here, that's the Mutant deck profile, and sportski pozdrav!